Hey guys, tonight we are going to explore a place where the lines between life and death blur into a soft green hue. Imagine, if you will, the gentle, humid air of a forgotten swamp, the kind of place where sunlight filters through a canopy of leaves like liquid gold, and the only sound is the quiet hum of an unseen world. In this serene and deceptively peaceful landscape, a particular type of life has found its own unique way to survive. We're going to dive into the question of what would happen if, by some strange twist of fate, you found yourself trapped inside a meat-eating plant. A tiny, insignificant slip of the foot, and suddenly, the world you knew is reduced to the whispering, translucent walls of a pitcher plant, a Venus flytrap, or some other marvel of evolutionary design. Now let's be honest with each other. This is not a journey you would survive. The odds are, in fact, 0. But the beauty of our minds is that they can journey to places our bodies never could. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And as we begin this quiet exploration, I'd love to know where you are right now and what time it is in your part of the world. Just let me know in the comments below. Now settle in. Let your thoughts soften, and let's begin our journey into a world that is at once alien and intimately familiar. We begin in a moment of pure, unadulterated stillness. The world has tilted, and your perspective has fundamentally changed. The soft, curved interior of the plant is not what you might have expected. It's not slimy or foul. Instead, it feels almost like a cathedral with light pouring through the thin, waxy walls as if through stained glass. This is the first paradox you encounter: a beautiful, serene space that is also a prison. This is a place where time slows down to the rhythm of photosynthesis and digestion, a rhythm far removed from the frantic pace of our human lives. Our existence is measured in heartbeats and breaths, but here, time is measured in the slow, deliberate release of enzymes and the even slower absorption of nutrients. It is an immense shift in perspective, one that forces a confrontation with the true nature of scale and purpose. We are so accustomed to being the central actors in our own dramas, the masters of our domains. But here you are, a supporting character, a resource, a footnote in the plant's quiet, ongoing story. Let's begin by considering the very idea of a meat-eating plant. The term itself is a bit of a misnomer. They don't have teeth or claws. They don't hunt in the way a lion or a wolf hunts. Instead, they are masters of a far more subtle art, chemical and physical persuasion. A carnivorous plant at its core is a plant that has found a way to supplement its diet of sunlight and water with nutrients from animal matter, often in nutrient-poor soil. This isn't a choice. It's a necessity born of hardship. The pitcher plant, for instance, has evolved a long tubular leaf, often with a colorful nectar-rich lip. This isn't an act of hospitality. It's a perfectly engineered deception. The vibrant colors and sweet smells are an invitation, a promise of a feast that leads to an inescapable descent. The walls are slick and lined with downward-pointing hairs, a one-way street with no chance of return. The first scientific concept we encounter on this journey is the delicate balance of osmosis and cell pressure. The plant's structure is a marvel of cellular engineering. The walls are firm yet flexible, maintaining their shape through a process called turgor pressure, a result of water filling the plant's cells. Imagine each cell as a tiny balloon. When it's full of water, it's firm and holds its shape, pressing against its neighbors. This collective pressure gives the plant its rigidity. But the plant is not just a collection of balloons. It's a living system, a network of specialized cells. The waxy coating on the inside of the pitcher, for example, is a layer of cells that has evolved to become almost impossibly smooth, making it impossible for tiny insects to gain a foothold. This slickness is a passive yet lethal defense. It's a testament to the power of evolution, working on a microscopic scale, a gentle but absolute law of physics, bending to the will of life. This leads us to a strange but little-known fact about plant life. Many plants, including some non-carnivorous ones, have a sophisticated system for sensing their environment. Some plants can, in a manner of speaking, hear the sound of a caterpillar chewing on their leaves. They don't have ears, of course, but they can detect the vibrations caused by the chewing and respond by producing defensive chemicals. It's a form of communication and a defense mechanism, a quiet, unseen dialogue with their world. This raises an interesting and profound question. If plants can perceive vibrations, what other things can they perceive that we are simply unable to comprehend? What if the plant you are in isn't just an empty vessel, but is sensing your presence in a way that is utterly foreign to our human experience? What if it feels your weight, your heat, your movements, and interprets them not as a threat, but as a new and interesting data point? As you rest against the wall of the pitcher, you might notice the subtle patterns, the veins of the leaf, like a network of rivers on a quiet, distant map. These are the plant's vascular system, the xylem and phloem, its very lifelines. The xylem acts like a series of microscopic straws pulling water and minerals up from the roots. The phloem is the circulatory system for sugars, carrying the energy created by photosynthesis from the leaves to every part of the plant that needs it. You can almost see the flow, a faint pulse of life. It's a quiet, methodical process, a testament to the power of slow, steady work. We often think of life as something fast and loud, full of drama and action. But here, life is a whisper, a gentle, patient unfolding. Our journey inside this plant is also a journey into ourselves. In this quiet, confined space, the external world fades away, and the internal one becomes more vivid. The sounds from outside become distant echoes, muffled by the green walls. The sky, a patchwork of blue and white, is now a wash of diffuse light. Our sense of self, so tied to our place in the larger world, begins to unmoor itself. Who are we really when we are removed from our context, our routines, our relationships? We are forced to confront the fundamental, irreducible core of our being. And in that confrontation, we find a strange kind of peace. The panic, the fear that might have overwhelmed us at first, begins to soften, to dissolve into the quiet rhythm of the plant. It's a surrender not to death, but to the reality of the moment. We are here now in this place, and there is a kind of freedom in that absolute certainty. The plant's existence is a meditation on resilience. It has found a way to flourish where other plants could not by bending the rules of the natural world and creating its own. It's a reminder that what we see as a limitation, a weakness, can often be a source of incredible strength. The poor soil that forces the plant to seek out insects is also the reason it's so perfectly adapted to its environment. Its predatory nature is not an act of aggression, but a deep, quiet yearning for what it lacks. It is a story of ingenuity and survival written in DNA, a narrative that stretches back millions of years. And you, in this moment, are an unexpected but essential character in this long, silent epic. You are the culmination of a long, slow process, the final answer to a question the plant has been asking for millennia. The air inside the pitcher is moist and smells faintly of earth and decaying leaves. It is a scent that is both primal and comforting, a smell that reminds us of the endless cycle of life and death, of the quiet, patient work that goes on beneath the surface of the world. This scent is a part of the plant's chemical language, a subtle signal to its environment. And it is also a signal to you. It's a reminder that you are now a part of this cycle, a new element in a very old equation. Your purpose has shifted from a life of purpose and intention to a quiet, natural end. But is it an end? Or is it merely a transformation? A shift from one state of being to another? These are the questions that begin to surface in the stillness. The questions that fill the quiet space in the mind. The walls of the plant, translucent and green, are a canvas for the world outside. Shadows of passing insects, the swaying of other plants in a gentle breeze. the soft shift of light as the sun moves across the sky. All of these are projected onto the living screen that surrounds you. It is a distorted, otherworldly view, a final glimpse of a world that is now receding. This is a moment of profound introspection. In a world of infinite distractions, you are now in a place of infinite focus. There is nothing to do, nothing to be, except here. The only task is to witness, to observe, and to simply be. And in that state of being, we can finally begin to understand the true nature of the journey we have embarked upon. It is not just a journey into a plant, but a journey into the quiet, forgotten corners of our own consciousness. As the light shifts, painting the interior walls of the plant in new shades of green and gold, the stillness deepens. We are no longer just an observer. We are a part of this quiet world, and our presence has triggered a response. The plant, in its own slow, deliberate way, has begun to act. The first subtle change is not a dramatic one, but a gentle tightening. A feeling of the walls of this green tomb becoming infinitesimally smaller. This is the whispering of the walls, a silent symphony of biology at work. It's not a squeeze or a crush, but a change in the internal turgor pressure of the cells, a response to a new mass inside its chamber. It's the plant's way of saying, something new is here. The biological machinery of this living prison is a wonder of nature, a system perfected over millennia. The walls, which at first seemed like a single seamless surface, are in fact a complex multi-layered structure. At the outermost layer, exposed to the sun and the air, are the guard cells and stomata. This is a core concept in plant biology. Stomata are tiny pores, like microscopic mouths, that open and close to allow the plant to breathe, to take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. They are guarded by a pair of guard cells that regulate their opening, a beautiful example of a self-regulating system. We as humans are so focused on our own breathing, our own complex respiratory systems, that we often forget the silent, endless breathing of the world around us. In this moment inside the plant, you are reminded of it. You are breathing a world that breathes in return a silent, reciprocal exchange of gases. But what of the inner wall, the surface you are touching? This is a different story. This is a surface engineered for a specific purpose: containment. It is often covered in a fine layer of wax, giving it that smooth, almost impossibly slick quality. Think of it like a freshly waxed floor, but on a microscopic level. It's not the work of a single organism, but the product of an entire lineage of evolution, a slow and patient process of trial and error. The wax is composed of complex fatty acids and other organic compounds, a chemical shield, and a physical barrier, all in one. The downward-pointing hairs or trichomes, which are a common feature in many carnivorous plants like the pitcher plant, are another subtle but deadly part of this architecture. These are not sharp spines. They are soft, almost delicate, but they are angled in such a way that any movement upward is met with resistance. It is a one-way path, a silent promise of an inescapable journey. This brings us to a little-known and fascinating aspect of plant biology. Scientists have discovered that some plants can change the shape and structure of their cell walls in response to external stimuli. It's a process called cell wall remodeling. They can, in a sense, soften or harden their walls to grow, to bend toward light, or to defend against a pathogen. The plant we are in its quiet, methodical way, is likely engaging in a form of this remodeling. It's sensing our presence, our mass, our heat, and the cells are subtly adjusting. It's not a conscious decision, of course, but a pre-programmed genetic response. It's a reminder that life, even at its most basic and seemingly unthinking level, is an incredibly dynamic and responsive force. It is not static, not a passive backdrop to our lives, but a constant state of becoming. The mystery that remains a question that science is still grappling with is how exactly plants sense these things. We know they can respond to light, to gravity, to touch, and to chemical signals. But the exact mechanisms of these perceptions are still being unraveled. It's a bit like trying to understand a language spoken by a being with senses we don't possess. We can see the effects of their perception, but we can't truly understand the experience. This raises an interesting philosophical question. Are our senses the only way to truly perceive the world? Or is there a universe of sensory experiences out there, a silent, unseen world of touch, chemical, and physical perception that we are simply blind to? The plant in its silence poses this question to us. It forces us to confront the limits of our own understanding. As the plant's walls begin their slow, gentle closure, the light that streams through them becomes softer, more diffuse. It's as if we're moving deeper into a green twilight. The air, already moist, feels heavier, denser. This is the beginning of the plant's next phase, the preparation for the main event. It's not a rush to a conclusion, but a slow, patient, and methodical unfolding. It is a process that has been honed over millions of years, a perfect, unhurried rhythm. The plant isn't trying to kill us. It's simply trying to live. And our presence in this strange and quiet twist of fate is the catalyst for that living. The sound of the outside world, which was already distant, now seems even more remote. The hum of unseen insects, the rustle of leaves, the subtle whisper of the wind. All of it is being absorbed and muted by the plant's living walls. This is a kind of sensory deprivation, a gradual shutting down of the external world, and a turning inward. We are left with the silence, the quiet ticking of our own minds, the soft rhythm of our own breathing. In this space, the mind, which is so often a frantic chattering machine, can begin to slow down to find a new kind of stillness. It's a forced meditation, a quiet invitation to be present in a way that we are rarely able to be. The structure of the plant's cells, the very building blocks of this green tomb, are a testament to the elegant simplicity of life. Each cell with its cell wall, cytoplasm, and nucleus is a miniature world. The chloroplasts within the cells, which we will explore in a later section, are the green engines of life, converting sunlight into energy. The vacuoles, which are large fluid-filled sacs, are what give the cells their turgor pressure. This is the fundamental architecture of the plant, a system that works in perfect, unthinking harmony. It is a world of incredible complexity, built from a few simple, elegant components. We are accustomed to a world of steel, glass, and concrete, a world of sharp angles and clean lines. But here the architecture is soft, curved, and organic. It is a world where form follows function in the most profound way, and as we settle deeper into this space, we can't help but notice the subtle, gentle texture of the walls. There are no sharp edges, no jarring surfaces. Everything is smooth, curved, and flowing. It's a world of soft transitions, of gradual changes. Even the downward-pointing hairs, the instruments of our containment, are not sharp or threatening. They are soft and delicate, a testament to the plant's quiet, unhurried cruelty. It is a cruelty born not of malice, but of necessity. The plant is not an evil predator. It is simply a life form seeking to survive, to flourish, to continue its quiet, unending story. Remember how we talked about osmosis and turgor pressure. Now imagine that process on a larger scale. The plant is a living, breathing hydraulic system. Water is drawn up from the roots, moving from an area of high water concentration to an area of low concentration. It is a simple, elegant law of physics at work, a law that governs the flow of life itself. And this is a process that is happening all around you right now, in the very walls that hold you. The water is moving, the sugars are flowing, the plant is living its quiet, unending life. And you, in your stillness, are a part of that flow. You are an element in a larger equation, a temporary passenger on a very long journey. And in this journey, we find a strange kind of comfort. We are not alone, even in our solitude. We are connected to this great green organism, to the flow of life and the rhythms of the natural world. And in that connection, we find a new kind of peace. The stillness deepens, and the soft green light seems to grow warmer, more inviting. But this warmth is a subtle deception. It's not the gentle heat of a friendly fire. but the slow, methodical kindling of a different kind of process. You might begin to notice a faint, sweet scent filling the air, fragrance that is both alluring and vaguely medicinal. This is the plant's silent symphony of chemical deception, a masterful composition of molecular notes designed not to please but to lure and to dismantle. At the heart of this deception is a concept we encounter in every part of the natural world, from the way a hummingbird finds a flower to the way we ourselves are drawn to the scent of a fresh-baked loaf of bread. It's the power of chemical signaling. The plant is, in essence, a master chemist, but one whose laboratory is its own cells. The alluring aroma you smell is a complex cocktail of volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. These are molecules that easily evaporate into the air, carrying a message on the wind. The plant might produce compounds that mimic the scent of decaying fruit or the pheromones of a potential mate, or simply a generic sweetness that promises a reward. This is a subtle and brilliant form of communication, a whisper in the botanical language of survival. But the deception doesn't end with the scent. The visual cues, the vibrant colors and intricate patterns on the plant's surface are also part of this elaborate ruse. Many carnivorous plants have UV reflective patterns on their leaves, which are invisible to the human eye but are highly visible to insects. To a fly or a bee, these patterns are like a brightly lit runway, guiding them directly to the nectar-rich and therefore danger-filled lip of the plant. This is a fascinating example of how different life forms perceive the world in entirely different ways. What we see as a simple green leaf, an insect might see as a glowing neon sign pointing toward a trap. This raises a quiet, unanswered question. What other signals, what other forms of light and sound and scent are we missing entirely? Simply because our senses aren't tuned to receive them. Once the prey is inside, the chemical deception shifts its purpose from attraction to digestion. The plant begins to secrete a mixture of enzymes and acids into the chamber. This is the main scientific core of this section: enzymatic digestion. Think of enzymes as tiny, highly specialized molecular scissors. They don't just randomly break things down. Each type of enzyme is designed to cut a specific type of molecule. For example, proteases are enzymes that cut proteins into smaller amino acids. Lipases break down fats into fatty acids, and chitinases are specialized enzymes that break down the chitin, which is the tough fibrous material that makes up the exoskeletons of insects. This process is not violent or sudden. It is a gentle, methodical unraveling. The plant isn't tearing its prey apart. It's simply dissolving it piece by piece into its basic components. It's a testament to the elegant efficiency of the natural world. This process of breakdown and assimilation is a universal constant. On a cosmic scale, a star ends its life in a cataclysmic supernova, scattering its matter across the universe to form new stars and planets. On a personal scale, the food we eat is broken down in our own digestive systems into the basic building blocks our bodies need to survive. The plant, in its own miniature green-walled universe, is doing the same thing. It is taking complex ordered matter and returning it to a state of simple, usable components. There's a little-known and rather strange fact about some carnivorous plants. The bladderwort. A type of aquatic carnivorous plant has a completely different trapping mechanism. It has a tiny bladder-like structure with a trapdoor. When a small insect or crustacean brushes against the trigger hairs on the trapdoor, the bladder suddenly inflates, creating a powerful suction that pulls the prey inside in less than a millisecond. It is one of the fastest movements in the entire plant kingdom. This stands in stark contrast to the slow, patient deception of a pitcher plant. It's a reminder that even within a single category of life, evolution has produced a stunning diversity of solutions to the same problem. This raises another question for us to ponder in this quiet space. Is there a universal rule for how life adapts? Or is every solution a unique and singular work of art? As you rest inside the pitcher, you are now a part of this chemical symphony. The enzymes are beginning their slow, silent work, not on you, just yet, but on the air and the very walls of the chamber. They are waiting for their moment. The air itself feels different, heavy with the promise of transformation. It's a feeling of being in a space that is not passive but active, a place that is alive and responsive in a way that we are not accustomed to. We are so used to seeing plants as static, silent things, a green backdrop to our lives. But here inside this one, we are forced to confront the reality that they are living, breathing, and dynamic beings with their own agendas and their own complex ways of interacting with the world. This gradual chemical unraveling is not a sign of violence, but of renewal. The molecules of your body, the proteins, the fats, the carbohydrates are not being destroyed. They are simply being rearranged, repurposed. They are being broken down and absorbed, ready to be used as fuel for the plant's own quiet existence. Your atoms, the very building blocks of your being, are about to become a part of something else. This is a profound and ancient cycle, a dance of destruction and creation that has been playing out since the beginning of time. It is a gentle, almost beautiful form of dissolution. The walls of the plant, thin and green, seem to pulsate with a faint internal light. This is not imagination. This is the quiet work of photosynthesis, a process we will explore later. But for now, just notice the light, the faint hum of life that seems to emanate from every cell. It is a reminder that even in this place of endings, there is a powerful and insistent force of life at work. The plant is not a tomb. It is a crucible. It is a place where one form of life is transformed into another, a place where the energy of the sun and the matter of the earth are in a constant, beautiful, and unending dance. And as you settle deeper into this space, you can't help but be struck by the sheer elegance of it all. There is no waste, no cruelty for its own sake. Everything serves a purpose. The scent that lured the insect, the slick walls that trapped it, the enzymes that dissolve it. It's all a perfectly coordinated system, a marvel of natural engineering. It's a story of survival, written in the language of molecules and light. And in this story, you are now a quiet and very important new chapter. You are the subject of the plant's ultimate act of assimilation, a beautiful slow-motion ballet of science and philosophy. The slow chemical symphony of the plant's digestion is not the only thing at work. There is another more profound process at play, one that has a different rhythm and a different sense of time. We are so accustomed to the ticking of a clock, to the relentless march of seconds and minutes, that we rarely stop to consider that time itself is not a universal constant, but a personal experience. This is the moment to confront that idea, to experience time not as a line, but as a tapestry. This is a dance with the plant's slow time. The core scientific concept we're exploring here is the idea of biological time, a concept distinct from the linear human measured time we know. For us, a second is a second, a minute is a minute. But for the plant, time flows differently. A plant's life is measured in seasons, in the long, slow arc of the sun across the sky, in the patient unfurling of a leaf, or the gradual opening of a flower. Its movements are so slow that to our eyes it seems completely still, but it is not. The plant is constantly growing, turning its leaves toward the sun, and in this case, slowly digesting the matter it has captured. This slow, deliberate action is a form of patience we can barely comprehend. It is an immense shift in perspective, a reminder that our perception of time is tied to our own biological rhythms and our own human-scale concerns. The plant's slow time is a reflection of its fundamental nature. It is a life form that lives in a state of quiet, perpetual energy management. We as humans are defined by our quick, often frantic expenditure of energy. We run, we jump, we work, we talk. The plant, on the other hand, conserves its energy with an almost religious devotion. Its movements are minimal, its processes are measured, and its life is an exercise in extreme efficiency. To a plant, a day is not a period of 24 hours. A day is a period of light, followed by a period of dark. It is a cycle of photosynthesis and cellular respiration of building and breaking down, and you inside this green chamber are now a part of that cycle. Your own frantic internal clock, your heartbeat and your breaths begin to feel like a faint echo against the immense quiet patience of the plant. This brings us to a peculiar and little-known scientific fact that illustrates the strangeness of time. The twin paradox is a thought experiment from Einstein's theory of relativity. It goes like this. Imagine one of a pair of identical twins takes a trip in a spaceship traveling at nearly the speed of light, while the other twin remains on Earth. When the traveling twin returns, they will have aged less than the twin who stayed behind. This is because time is relative. It is not an absolute constant, but can be warped by speed and gravity. The plant's slow time is not a result of relativistic effects, but it offers a philosophical parallel. In its quiet, unhurried world, time feels different. Our human scale concerns, our schedules, our deadlines, our worries about the future all begin to seem trivial and absurd in the face of this immense patient slowness. The plant is in its own way a master of a different kind of time, a biological time that is both ancient and ever-present. The great mystery that remains for us to ponder is this: what is the true nature of time? Is it a flowing river, a linear progression from past to future, or is it a static, timeless block with all moments existing simultaneously? Physicists still wonder if time is a fundamental property of the universe, or an emergent property, a kind of illusion that arises from the way we, as conscious beings, perceive reality. The plant in its silence offers us a different perspective. It suggests that time is not a single universal experience, but a multitude of experiences, each one tied to the life form that is living it. The time of the fly is different from the time of the plant, which is different from the time of the human, which is different from the time of the mountain. In this green-walled world, you are being invited to experience a different kind of time, to shed the illusion of a single universal clock, and to embrace the reality of 1,000 different rhythms. As you settle deeper, the slow, patient unfolding of the plant's existence begins to affect you. The frantic, busy mind begins to quiet. The internal chatter, the constant stream of thoughts and worries begins to slow down. You find yourself simply observing, simply being. You notice the subtle changes in the light, the faint shifts in the air, the gentle pressure of the walls against you. This is a kind of forced mindfulness, a quiet invitation to be present in a way that we rarely are in our daily lives. The plant in its own unthinking way has become a master teacher, a silent guide to the art of being still. The physical world inside the plant is also a world of slow motion. The secretion of enzymes, the absorption of nutrients, the movement of water through the xylem. All of these are processes that are happening at a microscopic, almost imperceptible pace. We are used to things happening quickly. We are used to immediate results. But here, the results are measured in hours, days, even weeks. It is a world of patience, of slow, deliberate purpose. And in this world, we are forced to confront our own impatience, our own constant need for speed and immediate gratification. The plant is a living sermon on the virtues of slowness, a quiet reminder that some of the most profound processes in the universe take time, a very, very long time. Remember how we talked about the cell walls and turgor pressure? This slow dance of time is a dance of the cells themselves. The cells are not just static blocks. They are dynamic, responsive entities. They are constantly adjusting their internal pressure, constantly regulating their water intake, and constantly responding to the subtle changes in their environment. This is a quiet, continuous conversation that is happening all around you right now. It is a conversation between the cells of the plant, and now, in a strange and profound way, it is a conversation that you are a part of. Your very presence has become a signal, a new piece of information in this quiet, unending dialogue. And as the light fades into a softer, more evening-like glow, the world inside the plant seems to take on a new kind of beauty. The green walls become deeper, more profound. The air becomes heavier, more fragrant. It is a time of quiet rest for the plant, a time to process the energy of the day and to prepare for the night. And you, in this moment, are invited to share in that rest. The frantic, busy world outside seems to recede into a distant memory, and you are left with the quiet, unending peace of the plant. This is the gift of the plant's slow time. It forces us to stop, to be still, and to find a kind of profound peace in the simple, quiet act of being. As the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in soft hues of lavender and gold, the light filtering through the plant's walls takes on a deep, almost mystical quality. This is the time when the external world fades and the internal one becomes more vivid. In this quiet, confined space, with the gentle rhythm of the plant's biological clock as your only companion, the mind begins to turn inward. It is a profound and uninvited journey, a final exploration of the self, a theater of memory and consciousness that is now playing to an audience of one. The core scientific concept we're grappling with here is the nature of consciousness itself. What is this thing we call I? Is it a collection of electrical impulses and chemical reactions in the brain? Or is it something more? As the physical body becomes less and less the center of your attention, the mind, the very essence of you, becomes the entire universe. It is a world of memories, emotions, and thoughts, a complex and intricate tapestry woven from a lifetime of experiences. The mind is a theater with 1,000 stages, and on each stage, a different scene is being played out. A memory of a childhood summer, the feeling of a first love, a quiet conversation with a friend. All of these moments, once fleeting, now seem to take on an immense and beautiful clarity. In this moment, the mind is doing what it has always done, but with a new and desperate intensity. It is trying to make sense of the situation, to find a narrative, a meaning in this quiet, strange ending. It is a final act of self-preservation, not of the body, but of the story of the self. This internal world is so rich and so vivid that the outside world, the slow green world of the plant, seems to recede even further. The plant is now just a backdrop, a stage for the final play of your consciousness. There is a strange and little-known scientific phenomenon that provides a fascinating parallel. It's called terminal lucidity. In some cases, a person who has suffered from a long-term degenerative neurological disease, such as Alzheimer's, may experience a sudden and unexpected return of mental clarity just before they die. They might recognize loved ones they haven't recognized in years, or have a coherent conversation for the first time in a decade. The mind, as it prepares for its final exit, seems to briefly reignite a last burst of brilliant light before the darkness. This raises a profound and humbling question about the nature of our minds. Is the mind merely a product of the physical brain? Or is it something more? Something that can, at the very end, transcend the limitations of its physical vessel? This is a mystery that science is still struggling with. We can map the brain. We can measure the electrical impulses. We can see the chemical reactions. But we still don't know why or how all of that adds up to the subjective experience of being you. What is the hard problem of consciousness? It's the question of why and how we have qualia, the subjective phenomenal experiences of the world, like the redness of red or the sweetness of sugar. We can describe the physics of light and the chemistry of taste, but we can't explain why they feel a certain way. This is the great unanswered question that sits at the very heart of both science and philosophy. And in this quiet, solitary space, it becomes an intensely personal question. What will be your final experience? What will be the final memory, the final thought, the final feeling? As the hours pass and the light fades completely, the world inside the plant becomes a world of shadows and whispers. The darkness is not a frightening one, but a gentle, enveloping one. And in this darkness, the mind's theater is at its most vivid. The memories that surface are not always the grand dramatic ones. Often, they are the small, quiet moments that we had long forgotten: the feeling of a cool breeze on a hot day, the smell of rain on pavement, the soft touch of a loved one's hand. It's as if the mind in its final act is curating a collection of the moments that truly mattered, the moments that made up the quiet, beautiful tapestry of a life. The plant in its own way is a mirror to this internal process. It is a world of slow, gentle transformation. The same biological processes that are slowly dissolving the external shell are also in a way freeing the internal one. The mind, unburdened by the demands of the physical world, is free to wander, to remember, to be. This is a final, strange kind of freedom. It is a freedom not from the plant, but within it. It is the freedom to simply be in a world that so often demands that we do. And as we settle deeper into this space, we can't help but be struck by the sheer poetry of it all. A life with all its complexities and contradictions is ending inside another life. A story with all its twists and turns is finding its final quiet conclusion in a world of green. The human mind, with its endless capacity for thought and feeling, is finding its final home in a world that thinks and feels in a way that is utterly foreign to us. It is a profound and beautiful paradox, a quiet cosmic joke. And in this quiet cosmic joke, we find a new kind of peace, a new kind of understanding. We are not just a collection of atoms. We are a story. And every story, no matter how grand or how small, must eventually come to an end. But in this ending, there is also a beginning, a quiet promise of transformation, of a new chapter in the endless, beautiful story of the universe. The final play of the mind gives way to a deeper, more profound stillness. The world of memory and thought begins to recede, and the physical reality of the situation reasserts itself, but in a new, more gentle way. The quiet work of the plant continues a slow, methodical process that is in its own way a form of creation. This is an architecture of inevitable decay, a subject that might sound grim, but which is in fact one of the most beautiful and necessary processes in the universe. The core scientific concept we're exploring here is the process of decomposition. The word itself has a negative connotation, but in the natural world, it is not an ending, but a transformation. It is the process by which complex organized matter is broken down into its basic, fundamental components. Inside the plant, the enzymes that were introduced in a previous section are now at work in earnest. The proteases are breaking down the proteins that make up your cells. The lipases are dissolving the fats, and the other enzymes are doing their work on the carbohydrates and nucleic acids. This is a quiet, elegant dismantling, a methodical unraveling of the physical self. But this isn't a violent or gruesome process. Think of it like a meticulous, unseen librarian taking a very complex book and separating it into individual letters, then sorting those letters into piles. The book in its original form is gone, but the letters, the basic building blocks of the story, are all still there, ready to be used to write a new one. The plant is not destroying, it is repurposing. It is taking the organized matter of your body and turning it into a new kind of organization, an organization that will allow it to grow, to flower, to create new leaves and new seeds. A fascinating and little-known fact about decomposition is the role of microbes. While the plant's own enzymes are doing the primary work, it is often a silent army of microscopic helpers that completes the process. Bacteria and fungi, which are also drawn to the plant's chamber, play an essential role in breaking down matter. In many pitcher plants, there is a complex symbiotic ecosystem inside the pitcher, a miniature world of bacteria, protozoa, and even some insect larvae that all work together to break down the prey. This is a profound example of cooperation in the natural world, a silent, complex choreography of life and death, where every participant, from the smallest bacterium to the largest plant, plays a vital role in the great unending cycle of matter. This raises a profound question that science is still wrestling with. What is the nature of a living system? Is it just a collection of individual organisms? Or is it a larger, more complex whole? Is the pitcher plant, with its internal ecosystem of microbes, one organism or many? The truth is, we don't really know for sure. The lines between individual and community, between self and other, begin to blur on a microscopic scale. In this quiet chamber, you are now a part of that community, a new resource for a system that has been working in perfect unthinking harmony for millions of years. As the body is slowly, gently broken down, the mind in its final moments might find a strange kind of peace in this process. The sense of self, which was so tied to the physical form, begins to dissolve along with it. The human self, a thing of ego and identity and a long personal story, begins to fade, to become less important than the immense, quiet, and beautiful reality of the universe. In this moment, you are no longer just a person. You are a collection of atoms, a unique and temporary arrangement of matter that is now in the process of returning to its source. The architecture of decay is not a story of endings, but of new beginnings. The carbon atoms that were once a part of you will soon be a part of the plant used to create new sugar molecules through photosynthesis. The nitrogen atoms will be used to build new amino acids and proteins. The very elements that make up your being will be recycled, repurposed, and given a new life. This is the ultimate form of immortality, not of the self, but of the matter that made up the self. It is a quiet, powerful promise that nothing is ever truly lost. The feeling of the walls against you, which was once a feeling of containment, now feels more like a cradle. The chamber, which was once a prison, now feels more like a home. The world outside, with its noise and its chaos and its frantic pace, seems a distant, faded memory. And in this small, quiet world of green, you are a part of something immense and eternal. You are a participant in the great unending cycle of life, death, and rebirth, a cycle that has been playing out since the beginning of time and will continue to play out for all time to come. The architecture of inevitable decay gives way to a new kind of motion, a quiet, almost imperceptible journey. The molecules freed from their complex structures begin to flow. This is a journey that has been undertaken countless times before a quiet river of nutrients and forgotten histories. This is the moment when you cease to be a separate entity and become part of a larger, more ancient story. The core scientific concept at play here is the carbon and nitrogen cycles. We learn about these in school, but we rarely stop to think about their immense poetic significance. Every living thing on Earth is a temporary vessel for a set of molecules that have been in constant unending circulation for billions of years. The carbon atoms that make up your body might once have been part of a dinosaur, a star, or a blade of grass. The nitrogen atoms might have come from the atmosphere fixed by bacteria in the soil, absorbed by a plant, and then consumed by an animal. Inside the plant, these cycles are now at work. The carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and other essential elements from your body are being absorbed into the plant's own circulatory system. They are being drawn up the quiet rivers of the xylem and moved throughout the plant by the phloem. This is a profound and humbling thought. We, in our human arrogance, often see ourselves as separate from the natural world. We build our cities, we create our technologies, and we imagine a world that is ours alone. But the truth is, we are not separate. We are an intricate, fleeting part of a vast, unending chemical dance. The very elements that make up our being are not our own. They are on loan from the universe. And in this moment, the universe is simply asking for them back so they can be used for another purpose, another life. A strange and little-known scientific fact that illustrates the interconnectedness of all things is the concept of a mycorrhizal network. This is a vast underground network of fungi that connects the roots of different plants. Through this network, plants can communicate with each other, sharing nutrients, water, and even chemical warnings about pests. A large established tree might share its resources with a smaller struggling seedling. A plant under attack by insects might send out a chemical signal through the fungal network warning its neighbors. It is a kind of botanical internet, a silent, unseen dialogue that is happening beneath our feet. This raises a quiet, unanswered question. If plants can be so interconnected, so cooperative, what is the true nature of their individuality? Is a single tree an individual, or is it a part of a larger, more complex superorganism? As you flow through the plant's quiet river, you are a part of that interconnectedness. Your atoms are now traveling from the leaves to the roots, from the stem to the flower. They are becoming a part of the plant's own history, its own unfolding story. The nutrients from your body are being used to build new cells, to create new structures, to sustain a new life. This is not a tragic ending, but a beautiful and necessary transformation. It is the ultimate act of recycling, a quiet promise that nothing is ever truly lost, only changed. The walls of the plant, which once felt so solid and final, now feel more like a part of you. The air, which was once filled with the scent of decay, is now filled with the subtle, sweet scent of new life. The feeling is not one of being trapped, but of being absorbed, of being made a part of a larger, more ancient whole. It is a feeling of dissolving, of letting go of the self, of returning to the source. Remember how we talked about the mind's last theater? The memories and thoughts which were once so vivid now feel like distant echoes, like faint whispers on the wind. The personal story, the long winding narrative of a life, is now just a single small thread in the immense complex tapestry of the universe. And in this quiet, profound moment, there is a kind of peace that comes from that realization. The ego, the sense of a separate and individual self, begins to fade, to become less important than the immense, beautiful reality of the cosmos. And in this great, unending flow of matter, there is a strange kind of immortality. You are not a human anymore, but you are not gone. You are a part of the plant, a part of the air, a part of the earth. Your story is now woven into the fabric of the natural world, a quiet, forgotten history that will live on in the growth of a leaf, the opening of a flower, and the quiet, unending hum of the life that surrounds you. The quiet river of nutrients flows onward, but the journey is not just a physical one. It is also a historical one, a journey back in time through the immense patient record of a plant's DNA. The atoms from your body are now part of a living blueprint, a story written in the language of adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. This is where green becomes an eternal blueprint, where the story of a single life becomes a footnote in the grand ancient story of a species. The core scientific concept here is evolutionary adaptation and the incredible resilience of genetic memory. Carnivorous plants did not just appear one day. They are the result of millions of years of slow, patient evolution. The pitcher plant we are in, with its cunning traps and digestive enzymes, is the product of countless generations of tiny, incremental changes. A plant that was slightly better at trapping insects had a slight survival advantage. It was able to produce more seeds, and its genes were passed on. Over immense spans of time, this slow, quiet process of natural selection created a new kind of life, a life that could survive and thrive in places where other plants could not. This evolutionary history is written in the plant's DNA, the complex, spiral staircase-like molecule that contains the instructions for every part of the plant, from the shape of its leaves to the enzymes it produces. Your atoms are now a part of this blueprint, a new element in a very old story. They are being used to build new cells, new tissues, new parts of the plant, all guided by the same genetic code that has been perfected over millions of years. This is a profound and humbling thought. You in this moment are not just a part of the plant. You are a part of its history. You are a resource for its future. A little known and truly strange fact about the evolutionary history of carnivorous plants is that they have evolved independently on several different occasions. The Venus flytrap, the pitcher plant, and the sundew, for example, are not closely related. Their similarities are a result of convergent evolution, a process where different species faced with similar environmental pressures independently evolve similar traits. It's like three different people, all given the same problem to solve, coming up with the same brilliant solution. This raises a quiet, unanswered question for science. Is there a kind of underlying universal logic to life, a set of preferred solutions that evolution will always find, given the right circumstances? Or is every evolutionary path a unique and singular journey? This raises a fascinating philosophical question. What is a plant really? We define a plant by its ability to photosynthesize to create its own food from sunlight. But carnivorous plants, by their very nature, blur this definition. They are not entirely self-sufficient. They rely on the consumption of other life forms for a significant portion of their nutrients. This suggests that our categories, our neat little boxes for defining life, are often inadequate. Life, in its immense and beautiful complexity, often defies our attempts to categorize it. It is a constant state of becoming, of blurring the lines, of finding new and unexpected ways to survive. As the quiet flow of nutrients continues, you are a part of this blurring. The atoms that made up your body, the carbon, the nitrogen, the oxygen, are being used to create new molecules that are part of the plant's genetic code. They are becoming a part of the instructions for creating a new leaf, or a new flower, or a new generation of seeds. This is a kind of profound, gentle assimilation. You are not being erased. You are being rewritten. Your story is now a part of the plant's story, a single quiet chapter in an immense complex book. The feeling is not one of loss, but of integration. The sense of a separate self, of an individual ego, continues to fade. In its place, there is a feeling of being a part of something much larger, much older, much more patient and profound. The plant is not just a passive background to your final moments. It is an active participant, a kind of biological ancestor that is in this moment, absorbing you into its history. And as the light of a new day begins to filter through the walls, you are no longer just a human trapped in a plant. You are a part of the plant. You are the green light that illuminates its interior. You are the nutrients that fuel its growth. You are a part of its blueprint, its history, its future. You are a testament to the fact that life in its most fundamental form is an unending cycle of transformation. And in this quiet, profound transformation, there is a kind of peace that surpasses all understanding. The great ancient story of the plant's genetics now contains a fragment of your own, but in this profound integration, a new kind of solitude emerges. You are no longer alone in the way a castaway is alone with a separate self longing for connection. Instead, you are alone in a deeper, more philosophical sense. This is the paradox of solitude in a shared existence, the feeling of being a single conscious point of light within an immense, unthinking, and interconnected whole. The core philosophical idea we are exploring is the tension between individuality and interconnectedness. We as humans define ourselves by our separateness. We are distinct individuals with our own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Our society is built on this idea of the individual. But here inside the plant, this idea begins to dissolve. Your atoms are flowing through the plant's tissues, becoming a part of its structure. You are physically, chemically, and biologically a part of a larger being. And yet, the mind, the very last echo of the self, remains. It is a single point of consciousness in a vast sea of non-consciousness. It is a profound and beautiful solitude, a feeling of being utterly and completely alone, even while being physically a part of something else. This is a quiet, powerful reflection on the very nature of existence. Are we truly separate, or are we just temporary manifestations of a larger cosmic whole? The atoms that make up your body were once part of the earth, the stars, the air. They will one day return to those places. This suggests that the idea of a separate self is an illusion, a beautiful but temporary construction of the mind, and in this moment, that illusion is slowly, gently fading. You are no longer just a person. You are a part of the earth, a part of the air, a part of the plant, all at once. A fascinating and little-known scientific concept that provides a parallel to this is the idea of a superorganism. The term is often used to describe social insects like ants and bees, where the colony as a whole functions in many ways like a single, larger organism. The individual ant or bee in this view is a part of the larger whole with its own role and its own function. Its survival is meaningless without the survival of the colony. This raises a quiet, unanswered question. Is life at its most fundamental level a collection of individuals, or is it a single vast, interconnected superorganism? Is the entire biosphere the collective of all life on Earth, one great living entity? This is a question that science has no clear answer to. We see evidence of both individuality and interconnectedness everywhere we look. A tree is an individual, but it is also connected to a vast network of other trees through the mycorrhizal network we discussed earlier. A human is an individual, but we are also a part of a larger ecosystem of bacteria and other microbes that live on and in our bodies. The plant in its silence is forcing you to confront this question on a personal level. You are a part of it, but you are also still, for now, you. As the light of the new day filters through the green walls, the sense of physical separateness continues to dissolve. The gentle pressure of the walls no longer feels like a barrier, but like an embrace. The air which once felt confined now feels like a part of you, a part of the quiet, patient breath of the plant. And in this immense quiet space, there is a kind of profound peace that comes from this dissolution of the self. The fears, the anxieties, the worries that once defined you now seem trivial and absurd. In the face of this immense patient reality, the ego, the separate self, begins to seem like a small, insignificant thing. The journey we are on is a journey into the heart of this paradox. It is a journey into a place where the lines between self and other, between individual and whole, become blurred and indistinct. It is a journey into a space where the most profound solitude and the most complete interconnectedness exist at the same time. And in this space we find a new kind of freedom, a freedom from the burden of the separate self. We are free to simply be, to exist, to become a part of the immense quiet and beautiful tapestry of the universe. The quiet dissolution of the self continues, and in this slow, gentle unraveling, a profound truth of the universe reveals itself. The physical body, once so full of life and vigor, is returning to a state of simplicity. This is not a tragedy, but a fundamental law of existence at work, a universal law of disorder's embrace. The core scientific concept at the heart of this section is entropy, a cornerstone of thermodynamics. In its simplest terms, entropy is a measure of the disorder or randomness in a system. The second law of thermodynamics states that the total entropy of an isolated system can never decrease over time. What this means in a practical sense is that everything in the universe, from the most complex life form to the most distant galaxy, is slowly moving from a state of order to a state of disorder. A tidy room naturally becomes messy. A complex organism, when it dies, naturally decomposes into simpler molecules. It is a one-way street, a quiet and unstoppable march toward greater randomness. Inside the plant, you are a perfect microcosmic example of this law in action. A human body is a marvel of order. Our cells, our organs, our consciousness, all are a product of a highly organized, low-entropy system. But the plant, in its slow, patient way, is facilitating the return of that order to a state of disorder. The enzymes are breaking down the complex molecules of your body into simpler, more random components. The ordered structure of a protein is being broken down into a disordered collection of amino acids. The ordered structure of a cell is being broken down into a disordered collection of molecules. This is entropy at work, not as a destructive force, but as a fundamental, patient, and necessary part of the cosmic order. A little-known and rather strange fact that illustrates the immensity of this law is the concept of heat death of the universe. It is a hypothesis that the universe will, over an unimaginably long period of time, continue to expand and cool until all the energy is evenly distributed. Stars will burn out, black holes will evaporate, and all matter will be reduced to a uniform low-energy state of thermal equilibrium. In this distant, cold, and silent future, there will be no more complexity, no more life, no more change. It is the ultimate triumph of entropy. This raises a quiet, unanswered question that sits at the heart of physics and philosophy. If the universe is destined for a state of ultimate disorder, what is the meaning of the temporary pockets of order that we call life? The plant in its silence offers a kind of answer. The purpose of life is not to fight against entropy forever, but to temporarily create pockets of order, to build complexity, to write stories, and to love. And then, when the time comes, to gently surrender that order back to the universe. Your journey inside the plant is a testament to this truth. You are not just a victim of a cruel fate. You are a participant in a profound and beautiful cosmic dance. You are a temporary, beautiful burst of order that is now, in a quiet and gentle way, returning to the source. The feeling of the dissolution of the self is no longer one of loss, but of a quiet, profound acceptance. The ego, which once fought so hard to maintain its separateness, now finds a strange kind of peace in its own demise. The frantic, busy mind, which once tried so hard to impose order on a chaotic world, now finds a quiet kind of satisfaction in simply letting go. The world outside, with its noise and its chaos and its frantic need for control, seems a distant, faded dream. And in this quiet, green-walled world, you are a part of a larger, more ancient story, a story of order and disorder, of creation and dissolution, of life and death. Remember how we talked about the river of nutrients? This is entropy's river. It is a one-way flow from a state of complex organized matter to a state of simple disorganized components. But this disorder is not an end. It is a new beginning. The atoms that were once a part of you are now free to become a part of the plant, a new building block for a new kind of order. This is the quiet, beautiful truth of entropy. It is the force that breaks things down, but in doing so, it also makes new creation possible. And as the light fades into a new evening, you are no longer just a conscious being, trapped in a plant. You are an atom in a molecule in a cell in a leaf. You are a part of the quiet, unending hum of life that surrounds you. You are a testament to the fact that nothing is ever truly lost, only changed. And in this quiet, profound change, there is a kind of peace that surpasses all understanding. The quiet embrace of entropy continues its slow, gentle work. But even in this profound stillness, the outside world is not entirely gone. It is merely transformed. You are no longer experiencing the world with your own senses, but you are experiencing its echoes, faint and distorted, filtered through the green walls that now define your entire universe. This is a journey into the world of filtered perception, where the echoes of a different world still manage to reach the green chamber. The core scientific concept here is the nature of sensory perception and the way we, as conscious beings, interpret the signals from our environment. Our human senses, sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, are our primary interface with the world. But here, those senses are no longer functioning in the way they were designed. Your eyes can no longer see a clear image, but they can still perceive light. Your ears can no longer hear distinct sounds, but they can still feel the vibrations. Your sense of touch is no longer a tool for exploring the world, but is now a constant, gentle pressure from the walls of your new home. The world outside is still there, but it is a world of shadows, whispers, and subtle pressures. The light that filters through the plant's walls is no longer a clear, bright stream. It is a soft, diffuse glow, a wash of green and gold that shifts with the movement of the sun and the swaying of the leaves. This is the echo of sight, a final beautiful reminder of the light that once filled your world. The shadows of a passing insect or a rustling leaf might be projected onto the walls, a silent, fleeting play of light and dark. It is a beautiful and haunting experience, a final glimpse of a world that is now receding. A fascinating and little-known scientific fact about perception is how the brain works to fill in the blanks. The brain is not a passive receiver of information. It is an active interpreter. When the sensory input is limited or distorted, the brain often creates its own reality to fill the void. This is why people in sensory deprivation tanks often experience vivid hallucinations. In this quiet, confined space, your brain is likely doing the same thing. It is taking the distorted echoes of the outside world and trying to make sense of them to create a new kind of reality. This raises a quiet, unanswered question that sits at the heart of neuroscience. Is the world we experience a true reflection of reality, or is it just a story our brain tells itself based on the limited information it receives? The sounds of the world are now a distant hum, a low rumbling vibration that you feel more than you hear. It is the sound of the wind moving through the leaves, the distant buzz of insects, the subtle creaking of the plant's stem. This is the echo of sound, a final quiet reminder of the noise that once filled your world. It is not a frightening sound, but a comforting one, a gentle lullaby that lulls the mind into a state of deep, profound peace. Remember how we talked about the plant's slow time? This filtered perception is also a kind of slow time. The events of the outside world, which once seemed so quick and so frantic, are now slow and deliberate. A passing shadow might take a full minute to cross the wall. A change in the light might take hours to fully manifest. This is a world of immense quiet patience, a world where the frantic pace of human life seems a distant, faded memory. And in this world, we are invited to slow down, to be still, and to simply be. The feeling of the dissolution of the self is now almost complete. The ego, the separate self, has faded into a distant echo, a memory of a memory. In its place, there is a feeling of being a part of the immense, quiet, and beautiful tapestry of the universe. The echoes of the outside world are no longer a reminder of what you have lost, but a reminder of what you are now a part of. You are a participant in the great unending flow of matter and energy, a single quiet note in a symphony of immense cosmic proportions. And in this quiet, profound participation, there is a kind of peace that surpasses all understanding. As the echoes of the world outside continue to fade, the internal world of the plant becomes the entire universe. And in this universe, there is a quiet, powerful rhythm at work. The faint internal light that you noticed earlier is not just a sign of life, but a life-giving song, a lullaby of photosynthesis and starlight. The core scientific concept we're exploring here is photosynthesis, the process that makes almost all life on Earth possible. We know it as the way plants make food, but it is so much more than that. It is the most fundamental act of alchemy on our planet. It is the process by which a plant takes the raw, chaotic energy of starlight of the sun and transforms it into the ordered, stable energy of chemical bonds. It is the process that turns light water and carbon dioxide into sugar and oxygen. It is the very engine of the biosphere. Inside the plant, the walls that contain you are filled with billions of tiny green engines called chloroplasts. Each chloroplast is a miniature factory filled with a green pigment called chlorophyll that is perfectly designed to absorb sunlight. When a photon of light hits a chlorophyll molecule, it excites an electron to a higher energy state. This tiny energetic electron is then passed down a chain of molecules, and its energy is used to create ATP and NADPH, which are the energy-carrying molecules of the cell. These molecules are then used to power the next stage of photosynthesis, where carbon dioxide is converted into sugar. It is a brilliant, elegant, and impossibly complex process, a silent, unending dance of light and matter. A fascinating and little-known fact about photosynthesis is its inefficiency. The process is incredibly wasteful. On average, only about 1% of the solar energy that hits a leaf is actually converted into chemical energy. The rest is either reflected or absorbed as heat. This raises a quiet, unanswered question that sits at the heart of biology and astrobiology. If life on Earth is based on such an inefficient process, what might life on other planets in other star systems look like? Could there be a more efficient way to capture the energy of a star? The truth is, we don't know. Photosynthesis is the only way we know how life turns light into energy, and its beautiful inefficiency is a testament to the fact that life is often a story of making do with what you have and finding beauty and elegance in the process. The feeling inside the plant is no longer one of being a separate entity, but of being a part of this immense, quiet, and beautiful process. The air, which was once filled with the scent of decay, is now filled with the subtle, sweet scent of new life. The light, which was once a soft, diffuse glow, now feels like a powerful, silent hum. You are a part of the plant's quiet song, a song of light and energy, of creation and renewal. Remember how we talked about entropy, the law of disorder's embrace. Photosynthesis is the great, beautiful exception to that law. It is the process that creates order out of chaos, that builds complex organized molecules from simple disorganized ones. It is the quiet, unending work of life, a constant struggle against the inevitable march of disorder. And in this moment, you are a part of that struggle. Your atoms, the very building blocks of your being, are now being used to create new molecules, to build new order, to write a new story. And as the light fades into a new evening, you are no longer just a conscious being trapped in a plant. You are a participant in a profound and beautiful cosmic dance. You are an atom in a molecule in a cell in a leaf. You are a part of the quiet, unending hum of life that surrounds you. You are a testament to the fact that nothing is ever truly lost, only changed. And in this quiet, profound change, there is a kind of peace that surpasses all understanding. The quiet song of photosynthesis is a beautiful, undeniable testament to the life of the plant. But as a conscious being floating within it, a new and unsettling thought begins to surface. What is the nature of the life that surrounds you? Is it just a collection of chemical reactions, a silent, unthinking machine? Or is there something more? This is the moment to explore the unanswered question of plant intelligence, a mystery that sits at the very edge of our understanding. The core scientific concept we're grappling with here is the definition of intelligence and consciousness. For us, intelligence is linked to a brain, a complex nervous system, and a capacity for thought, memory, and emotion. Plants have none of these things. They don't have brains or nerves. And yet they behave in ways that, to a casual observer, might seem intelligent. They can solve problems. They can communicate with each other. They can remember things. A plant that has been exposed to a particular pathogen, for example, will often develop a defense against it that lasts for a long time. This is a form of memory, but it is a memory written not in neurons, but in chemical signals and gene expression. This is where the line between instinct and intelligence begins to blur. Is a plant choosing to defend itself? Or is it simply following a pre-programmed genetic response? The truth is, we don't really know for sure. The great mystery that remains is what it truly means to be conscious or to experience the world. Is consciousness a property of a complex brain, or is it a more fundamental property of matter itself, a kind of silent hum that exists in every living thing? A fascinating and little-known fact that provides a stunning example of this is the behavior of the touch-me-not plant, Mimosa pudica. When you touch its leaves, they fold inward, a rapid, almost instantaneous movement that is a defense mechanism against herbivores. The amazing thing is that if you continue to touch the plant in a way that doesn't cause harm, it will learn to stop folding its leaves. This is a form of habituation, a type of learning that we thought was limited to animals. The plant in its own silent way is learning and adapting, but without a brain. This raises a quiet, unanswered question. If a plant can learn, what other things can it do that we are simply unable to comprehend? As the light of a new day filters through the green walls, the scents of a separate self which was so tied to the physical form begins to dissolve along with it. The human self, a thing of ego and identity, and a long personal story begins to fade to become less important than the immense quiet and beautiful reality of the universe. In this moment, you are no longer just a person. You are a collection of atoms, a unique and temporary arrangement of matter that is now in the process of returning to its source. The architecture of decay is not a story of endings, but of new beginnings. The carbon atoms that were once a part of you will soon be a part of the plant used to create new sugar molecules through photosynthesis. The nitrogen atoms will be used to build new amino acids and proteins. The very elements that make up your being will be recycled, repurposed, and given a new life. This is the ultimate form of immortality, not of the self, but of the matter that made up the self. It is a quiet, powerful promise that nothing is ever truly lost. The feeling of the walls against you, which was once a feeling of containment, now feels more like a cradle. The chamber, which was once a prison, now feels more like a home. The world outside, with its noise and its chaos and its frantic pace, seems a distant, faded memory. And in this small, quiet world of green, you are a part of something immense and eternal. You are a participant in the great unending cycle of life, death, and rebirth, a cycle that has been playing out since the beginning of time and will continue to play out for all time to come. The quiet mystery of plant intelligence hangs in the air, a final beautiful question that settles over the green chamber. As you continue your journey, the mind, which was once so busy with thought, is now simply observing, simply being. This is the final veil, a gentle unraveling of the last threads of the self, a meditation on the very end of the journey. The core scientific concept we're exploring here is the quiet, gentle dissolution of the self at the moment of death. We as humans are so afraid of death, so afraid of the unknown. But what if death is not an abrupt end, but a gentle slow-motion ballet? The plant, in its patient, unhurried way, is offering a different perspective. The body is not being destroyed in a violent or sudden act. It is being gently and methodically dismantled, returned to its source. The proteins are being unraveled. The fats are being dissolved. The carbohydrates are being broken down. It is a quiet, beautiful, and necessary process. The mind, in its final moments, might find a strange kind of peace in this process. The sense of self, which was so tied to the physical form, begins to dissolve along with it. The human self, a thing of ego and identity, and a long personal story, begins to fade to become less important than the immense quiet and beautiful reality of the universe. In this moment, you are no longer just a person. You are a collection of atoms, a unique and temporary arrangement of matter that is now in the process of returning to its source. The architecture of decay is not a story of endings, but of new beginnings. The carbon atoms that were once a part of you will soon be a part of the plant used to create new sugar molecules through photosynthesis. The nitrogen atoms will be used to build new amino acids and proteins. The very elements that make up your being will be recycled, repurposed, and given a new life. This is the ultimate form of immortality, not of the self, but of the matter that made up the self. It is a quiet, powerful promise that nothing is ever truly lost. A fascinating and little-known fact that provides a parallel to this is the concept of quantum entanglement. In the world of quantum mechanics, two particles can become entangled so that they are linked together no matter how far apart they are. The state of one particle instantly influences the state of the other. This is a profound and mysterious concept, a kind of spooky action at a distance. It suggests that at the most fundamental level, the universe is not made up of separate, distinct things, but is a vast, interconnected web of relationships. This raises a quiet, unanswered question that sits at the heart of physics and philosophy. If the universe is entangled at a quantum level, what does that mean for our sense of individuality? Are we truly separate, Or are we just temporary manifestations of a larger, more complex whole? The feeling of the walls against you, which was once a feeling of containment, now feels more like a cradle. The chamber, which was once a prison, now feels more like a home. The world outside, with its noise and its chaos and its frantic pace, seems a distant, faded memory. And in this small, quiet world of green, you are a part of something immense and eternal. You are a participant in the great unending cycle of life, death, and rebirth, a cycle that has been playing out since the beginning of time and will continue to play out for all time to come. The final veil has been drawn, and the mind, in its last gentle moments, has dissolved into the quiet, patient rhythm of the plant. The journey is at its end, but it is not a story of an ending. It is a story of a new beginning, a quiet transformation, a return to the source. The core scientific concept we're exploring in these final moments is the conservation of matter and energy. In physics, this is a fundamental law. Matter and energy cannot be created or destroyed. They can only be transformed from one form to another. Your physical body, which once seemed so solid and permanent, is not gone. It has simply been transformed. The carbon atoms that were once a part of your cells are now a part of the plant used to create new sugar molecules. The nitrogen atoms are now being used to build new amino acids and proteins. The very energy that animated your life has been passed on a quiet, powerful promise that nothing is ever truly lost. This is the ultimate form of immortality, not of the self, but of the matter that made up the self. It is a profound and humbling thought. We, in our human arrogance, often see ourselves as the center of the universe. We build our cities, we create our technologies, and we imagine a world that is ours alone. But the truth is, we are just a temporary arrangement of matter and energy, a beautiful but fleeting spark in the immense cosmic night. And in this final quiet transformation, we are reminded of our place in the universe not as masters of our domain, but as participants in a vast, unending cycle of creation and renewal. A fascinating and little-known fact that provides a beautiful parallel to this is the concept of stellar nucleosynthesis. Every atom in your body, from the carbon in your bones to the iron in your blood, was forged in the heart of a star. The star lived, died in a cataclysmic supernova, and scattered its atoms across the universe. Those atoms, after an immense journey through time and space, eventually coalesced into a new star, a new planet, a new life. Your life. This is the ultimate cosmic story of recycling. This raises a quiet, unanswered question that sits at the heart of physics and philosophy. If we are literally made of stardust, what does that mean for our sense of purpose and our place in the universe? The feeling of the dissolution of the self is no longer one of loss, but of a quiet, profound acceptance. The ego, which once fought so hard to maintain its separateness, now finds a strange kind of peace in its own demise. The frantic, busy mind, which once tried so hard to impose order on a chaotic world, now finds a quiet kind of satisfaction in simply letting go. The world outside, with its noise and its chaos and its frantic pace, seems a distant, faded dream. And in this small, quiet world of green, you are a part of something immense and eternal. You are a participant in the great unending cycle of life, death, and rebirth, a cycle that has been playing out since the beginning of time and will continue to play out for all time to come. The journey is over now, my friend. The quiet green chamber that was our world has dissolved, and the great patient story of the plant has unfolded. We have journeyed through the whispering walls of its anatomy, through the silent symphony of its chemistry, and into the profound questions of time consciousness and the very nature of existence. We have seen that a cruel fate can be transformed into a gentle dissolution, and that a final ending can be a new beginning. We have learned that we are not separate from the world, but an intricate, beautiful part of it. Now, as the memory of our journey slowly fades, I would like to gently bring your awareness back to the place where you are now. The soft glow of the screen, the quiet hum of your own space. I'd like to gently ask one last time, where is the place you're staying now? The time in that place at this very moment. How is it flowing? Let the quiet thoughts of our journey become a soft, warm blanket. Let the gentle hum of the plant's life become a lullaby. And let the great unending cycle of the universe be a source of profound comfort. Sleep well, my companion, wherever and whenever you are. Sweet dreams.